Hello and welcome to today's webinar on using our website AmericanAncestors.org. My name is Ginevra Morse, the Director of Education and Online Programs at the New England Historic Genealogical Society. I'll be moderating today's event. NEHGS is a nonprofit organization supported by our members and donors. We provide resources and expertise in nearly all aspects of family history. Today's webinar was made possible by our annual fund, and we are pleased to offer such programming for our members and friends around the world. Giving today's presentation is Andrew Hansen-Dvorak, Web Content Coordinator. Andy has been with NEHGS for over 2 years, and in addition to his tireless work on the website, he provides website demonstrations and tutorials here at our library in Boston, at conferences around the country, and of course online. Andy will present for about 45 minutes. He'll give a quick overview of how to navigate AmericanAncestors.org, what types of databases we have on our website. He'll show you the ins and outs of executing a search, how to view your results, and how to manage those records you find most useful. Throughout his presentation, Andy will share with you some important search tips and techniques. At any time during the presentation, feel free to type a question in the question panel to the right of your screen. We'll answer as many as we can in the time remaining. If you don't see that question box, you can expand your user panel by clicking on the icon of a white arrow with an orange background, and you should see that on the right of your screen as well. Finally, as a reminder, we are recording this event and we'll post the video to our website in the next couple of days. So without further ado, take it away, Andy.
Thank you very much, Ginevra, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking time out of your afternoon to join us online, and I can give you a tour of our new site. So this design is the result of over a year's worth of work by our staff and members to be able to bring the resources of American Ancestors and NEHGS to you wherever you are, whether you're at home or viewing the site from a mobile device. We're striving to deliver a dynamic website that delivers expertise and unique resources beyond just names and dates. So let me give you a brief tour around the design and how to navigate our new site. So all of our content now is organized underneath these two menus. We've got this main menu here underneath our logo, as well as a secondary menu that's in the upper right-hand corner of each screen, and so I'll be taking you through both of those. One good thing to know that if you click on our logo that is in the upper left-hand corner of each screen, that will always take you back to our home page. So if we click Search, you'll be brought to a screen where you can search databases, something that I know a lot of you are doing, and is something I'm going to cover in more detail later in this presentation. You can also search our online library catalog. If you're a member of NEHGS, you can search a limited number of subscription-based databases not found on our website, such as the early American newspapers and marquee databases online, biographies online. And also you can search materials available through our partnership with the American Jewish Historical Society New England Archives. So if we click on Browse, that lets you explore the millions of browsable records we have available, as well as collections curated by our library staff. Here's where you can also learn more about our publications, such as recent issues of our magazine, American Ancestors, and our scholarly journal, the New England Historical and Genealogical Register. And you can browse our original scholarship found only on AmericanAncestors.org, such as Early Families of New England, which extends the work that found in the Great Migration Study Project up to the year 1700. So our third option is services, and American Ancestors and NEHGS offer a variety of services in addition to our online resources. If you're looking for help with your research, you can schedule a consultation with one of our expert genealogists, or you can hire a researcher to help you break through that brick wall. Finally, clicking on Education will bring you to our online learning center where you can freely access subject guides, how-to videos, our archived webinars, commonly used templates, and much more. If you're a member, you can also sign up for our in-depth online courses from this page. And you can learn more about and register for our research tours to repositories around the world and local programs held here in Boston. So finally, looking at that upper right-hand corner of every page, we have quick links to our store, more information about us, information about visiting us, and events happening at our library in Boston, as well as, most importantly, the link to log in. So a lot of the functionality that comes with our site is only available if you log into your account. So to do so, click on that blue login link in the upper right-hand corner of each page. This will take you to our login screen. So if you don't remember your password, if it's been a while since you've logged into the site, you can be issued a new one by clicking on the Forgot Password link. Or, if you don't have an account yet, you can learn more by clicking the Join Now link. Once you're successfully logged in, you should see your name at the top of the page. All right. The link should be changed to Log Out, and a My Account link should be now visible. So if you click that link, you come to this page, and that's where you can find out more information about your current membership. This is where you can access your saved searches, the address that you have on file, and any purchases that you've made through our store. So I've talked a lot about the databases and how we've made a lot of changes in how you can access them. But what are those databases that we have available? If you are an active member of NEHGS, you can have access to over 300 different online databases, which includes 3,000 volumes of records. This totals up to hundreds of millions of records, with more being added each week. Among these records, we have vital records, town records, diaries, military records, voter lists, maps, and much more. Of special interest are collections of journals and periodicals from genealogical societies throughout New England, such as our New England Historical and Genealogical Register, and the New York Genealogical and Biographical Record. We also sponsor study projects, such as Robert Anderson's Great Migration Study Project, which compiles genealogical sketches of every person who settled in New England between 1620 and 1640. And as I mentioned before, we have the Early New England Families Project, which is being published directly to AmericanAncestors.org, and that continues that work further into the 17th century. So although we are the New England Historic Genealogical Society, we go by American Ancestors because our holdings are national in scope. Our focus, a lot of our expertise, is on the 6 New England states, but we are also working on major migration routes out, such as New York, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Ohio River Valley. So you can learn more about these collections by using our new Database Browse feature, making it easier for you to glean which resources are available through our database collection. And you can access that by going to Browse and then clicking on Browse Databases. So when you get to this page, you'll see an alphabetical listing of all of our databases. On the left-hand side, you'll see a pane where you can filter this list by country. A little bit up at the tippy top. One Australian record. By time period. And by category. You can also choose to display only those collections that have images, or you can conduct a keyword search of the titles to filter by criteria not included in the facets like state or town. If you scroll further down on the list, you'll see that a lot of our collections start with the town name, Boston being the most obvious, but other towns and cities across New England and the country. And those aren't broken out by location, the country menu here, but you can find those by doing a search of the database names. To remove the filters that you've applied, you can click on this link at the top that says Reset Filters. So once you've found a database you're interested in, you can click on the name or on this eye icon to see more information about the database. This provides background information about the source material used to create that database, as well as what you might be able to expect to find within its pages. This section will also provide tips on how to best approach searching this database should you choose to do so. From this page, you can click Back to Results to be taken back to your list of browse results, or you may click Next Result and Previous Result to view the About information for other databases that fit your browse criteria. So going back to our database browse, if we click on the magnifying glass instead, that'll take you to our advanced search page with that database pre-selected. Now this camera icon indicates that that's a database that has images to view. Clicking this icon will take you to the image of the first page of the first volume of that database. You'll then be able to page through this resource as if you were reading a book. Now, if a database does not have available images, that camera icon will be replaced with an icon that represents a piece of paper. This last icon is a star, which you can toggle on or off to mark that database as a favorite. I'll talk about adding and searching your favorite databases later in this presentation. Now that we've got a little bit better idea of the databases that we have available, let's dive in and start doing some searches. While a keyword search of both our online database and library catalog can be done from the search box in the upper right-hand corner of each page, a far more robust search can be performed by navigating to Databases in the Search drop-down menu. So, much as you'd expect, this search screen provides fields for first and last name, the ability to have from and to a year range, the record type, which is most commonly birth, marriage, and death, if you're looking at vital records. Other things like probate and census may appear depending on what sort of records you're looking for. A location field, as well as a keyword field. And so this field, as opposed to the other ones that appear, searches across an entire record. If you put a name here as opposed into the name fields, it will return results no matter where they appear in the record. Now, a new feature of the site is the exact search checkbox, which is not checked by default. When this box is not checked, search applies the filled-in search fields as best it can, which includes a lot of phonetic matches to the various fields. When exact search is checked, the search results will only include those records where the supplied first and last name, year range, and record type are exact matches. We also have the ability to apply SoundX, which is a very specific phonetic algorithm, to the last name field. So for even more options, you can click the Advanced Search Plus link at the bottom of the field. The Advanced Search area includes the ability to limit your results to a specific database, a category of databases, or those that are free, contain images or those that you have marked as favorites. You can also add the first and last names of family members to your search. Right now, family members are limited to parents and spouses. But you have to be careful with this line because not all databases contain this information. So if you do an exact search and include family members in a database that doesn't have that information, that includes primary names only, you're going to get 0 results. The search screen can also be used to search for a specific page in a specific database. This is helpful when you know a page reference to a specific item and you want to go to it directly. When an individual database is selected in this field, search fields specific to that database will be displayed. So in this example, I have the Massachusetts Vital Records 1841 to 1910 database selected. And I'm looking for a citation that leads me to volume 545 and page 299. So that'll take me directly to that page. I don't need to enter in any other search terms or names, and I'll go directly to that page. So now that you're more acquainted with our search page, this is my first tip for getting the most out of your searches on AmericanAncestors.org. And you'll remember me telling a horror story if you've ever heard me give this speak at a conference or one of my webinars, is to start wide and to get narrower. There are a lot of fields on that search page, and the first impulse, I know it was my first impulse when I started, was to try and put as much stuff in there with the assumption of lots of data in, better data out. That is certainly not always the case. You can easily overwhelm our databases because, especially if you're depending on family lore. I once spent an entire summer looking in the wrong county because I was depending on family lore. As well as it's a lot easier for you to be able to filter through results once you've done a search. So my suggestion would be start with a first and last name and then start moving to adding locations, adding times, looking at specific databases until you get to a number of results that you feel comfortable going through, because you're going to find a lot better data, and maybe that data that you weren't expecting to find that gets you through that brick wall this way. So a second tip that I have is to follow those database search tips. Our collections encompass a tremendous variety of sources of data, all of which need to be indexed slightly differently. So to get the most out of each database, when you find one that is particularly useful, look at its information page, or select it on the advanced search page to see these search tips. So for this example, we're looking at the Beekman patent, and that deals with a pretty small time frame and geographic area. So as we see here, the location and time range is not indexed, and so you're told to leave all of those fields blank, otherwise you won't get any results from this database. Additionally, there can be additional information that might be unique to that database, and so there's a special way to get at that will also be included in the search tips. So the Beekman patent has particularly lengthy family sketches for certain surnames. So if I enter a last name into the last name field and type the word featured into the keywords field, which should be up here, that's the way to find those particular family sketches. So now that we've done some searches, let's start looking at the results. Let's start getting to the meat of those things that we're looking for. But just to review, you can do a search once you fill in your search terms by pressing Enter on your keyboard if you're in any of these fields, or by clicking this gold search button that's at the bottom of the page. So here I've done a search for Lorenzo Smith with no other terms. Our search results appear in 3 columns. This first column shows the name of the individual, as well as the category of the record and the database that it's from. And over here in the events column, I have the type of record it is, with the year, the location, volume and page number, and any other text associated with the record. And in the third column, for those databases that do have family member information indexed, that's where you're going to see those that family member information. So above the search links are results, are links that allow you to set the number of search results displayed on each page, as well as a button to save the current search criteria to your My Account page. So if we look over to the left, you'll see columns of results. And these are controls that allow you to, we can either refine our search. Clicking this button will take you back to the advanced search page with your search terms intact. Or if you just want to start over completely, you can click on the New Search button. That will take you to the advanced search page with all of your terms removed. You can click to only see records for those databases that you currently have access to. You can sort based on a number of criteria. Relevance is the first one that we have, but you can also sort by database name, by first or last name, by year, either new to old or old to new, as well as location, country, state, or record type. As well as you can drill down into specific categories and databases to refine your search results. And to take a look at a brief example, here I've searched for Percy Burrell. A record will feature a camera icon if it has an image, camera, or a document if it's a text-only transcript. So from those initial search results displays, clicking on the name or the icon in the name column will display the page on which the result appears. So in this case, we're going to click on one that has a camera icon to see an image. So above this image are a volume menu and a page number entry box. These controls allow you to select any volume in the current database and any page within that volume. Clicking on the arrowhead in the volume control will display a menu of all of the volumes, whereas clicking on the arrow icons to the left and right of the page number field will allow you to move forward and backward within the pages of that volume. So the image display can be zoomed in, there we go, or out by placing the mouse cursor over the image, and if you have a scroll wheel on your mouse, you can scroll back and forth between that, as well as our new image viewer is wonderful on touch devices, and so things like pinching and scrolling using your finger will work excellently on this new version. Otherwise, you can pick up and drag the image just as you would expect to. But if you don't have a mouse, or if you don't have a scroll wheel present on the mouse that you're using, these buttons will allow you to zoom in and out of the image. You can also return to the initial zoom level, and you can display the image full page. You can also view a listing of all the names indexed on the current page by clicking on the blue transcript button. A small arrowhead appears beneath the button to indicate that you're in transcript viewing mode. You can click the image button at any time to return to the image viewing mode. We also have at the top of the detailed display area, the name of the current database. This is the same header that you saw when we were looking at that database information page from the Browse databases. So from this header, you can go back to your search results. This is the link that if you enter one of these other modes, you can look at the records in the current database. You can display information about the specific database being viewed. That's the same as that information page we were looking at earlier. You can look at citation information for the specific database being viewed. You can perform another search within that same database. Mark this current database as a personal favorite, or navigate to the previous or next search result within the current set of search results. So one of the most useful things, at least I've found as a researcher in that header, is to go to that citation information and use that citation, especially when you start downloading and printing images. Then it's very easy to, especially if you're looking at a zoomed-in image, it's very easy to forget what database that was associated with. And it's very easy to lose track of that research log. You end up recounting a lot of those steps. So it's really important to get that citation information right away before it fades. So clicking on that citation information will bring up a citation for you to use in your research log. Maybe just write it on the back of something if you're printing things out. Put it in a genealogical program that you're using, and that's going to save you a lot of time. Anytime that I said that I was going to remember where I found something, that was a lie that I just told myself. It was a terrible lie. Now that we've got browsing and searching under our belt, I'd like to encourage you to make the most of your account by utilizing some features of our site, particularly the favorite databases and the saved search features. So to review, there's a couple ways to make a database a favorite. If you're browsing databases, you can do it by clicking the star icon. Or if you're viewing images, you can click on the star icon in the database header. So what good are these favorite databases? Well, you can limit your searches to these databases by clicking the favorites checkbox on the advanced search page. So in addition to favorite databases, another very powerful feature is the ability to save searches. So why do we want to save searches? First, if there are ancestors that you repeatedly search for, you'll want to create a saved search. That way you can examine a larger amount of records without needing to do it in a single session. I've talked to genealogists who it's sort of a badge of pride to be able to say, oh, I went through 700 records, I went through 2,000 records. But there's no way that you're able to do those all in one sitting unless you've got strong coffee and will. So saving searches allow you to be able to pick up where you left off from your previous sessions. Second, these searches are re-executed each time that you bring them up. So we're correcting and adding content every single week. And if you save a search, each time you execute that search again, that new or updated content will be included in that search. Third, it will save you time and ensure consistency. As you continue to do your research, your search queries will probably continue to become more and more complex. You'll be adding more keywords. You'll be removing things. You'll be as well as, at least if you're like my ancestry and you start going back to Eastern or Central European, you start having some spelling inconsistencies, and you want to make sure to remember to spell things a particular way. And so by saving that search, I don't need to remember how to spell Grabarczyk each time that I'm looking for example, one of my Czech lines. And now the search is portable. This is tremendously useful now that the site has a responsive design that works wonderfully on mobile devices and tablets and other touch devices. You'll have access to these searches on whatever device that you're accessing AmericanAncestors.org on. So when you come up with a search that you'd like to save, all you need to do is hit the Save Search button in the upper right-hand corner of the search results page. So a couple of reminders. You do need to be logged in order for this feature to work. And it will only save these search terms themselves. You'll see them along the top of the search results. Now this does include any additional filtering that you do here. So if you drill down to a particular category, as long as it's listed in these search terms, it will be included in that saved search. So we have two different ways to access those saved searches. The first is from your account page, which again is at the top of every page. Once you're at your account page, you can click on Saved Searches. And here you'll see a timestamp of when you saved the search, the terms that were saved, and here's the link to perform that search again. So the other way to retrieve saved searches is from the drop-down box in the upper right-hand corner of the Advanced Search page. There you'll see a list of those timestamps that correspond with those on our account page. And when you select one of these saved searches, for example, I've got this one that I did at 9 o'clock this morning, it will automatically fill in the search terms. So you'll see that John Brown automatically has been filled into the name fields. I will, however, have to, actually go down to the bottom and search and hit the search button to perform the search. But that does give you the opportunity to make small edits. If you have one particular search that you'd like to do with tiny variants, you can use the drop-down, go to that sort of base search, and then add those variants that you're interested in working on that particular session. Yeah, so we've covered a lot of ground today. So if you'd like to review any of the information that we've discussed, as well as there are a couple of things that we didn't exactly have time for, like using wildcards and tips for searching our journals and periodicals, I'd like you to please take advantage of my subject guide on using AmericanAncestors.org, and that can be found as part of our online learning center. There you can find more subject guides, upcoming webinars like this one, events happening at our library in Boston, as well as guided tours to various research centers around the country and around the world. And a lot of these benefits do come from being a member of NEHGS, which gives you access to the increasing selection of databases, as well as a discount on events, products in the bookstore, and access to our online courses. So you can find out more about membership at AmericanAncestors.org/join. So I'd like to thank all of you again for joining us, and I hope that you're able to get some fantastic research finding your roots on what I believe to be the best AmericanAncestors.org yet.
Thank you, Andy, for your presentation. So now let's tackle your questions. It looks like we have plenty of time to get to most of these. So if you have anything that you'd like to ask our presenter, please go ahead and type it in the questions panel to the right of your screen, and he'll answer as many as he can in the time provided. So Andy, we have a number of questions regarding search, of course. Barry asks, and a few others asked about this, when searching a year range, does that refer to possibly the birth and death dates of the person you're researching for, or does that refer to something else, like maybe publication dates?
That depends, like the answer to many questions, I imagine. That depends largely on the database that you're looking at. It's fairly simple when you're looking at something like a vital record or a probate record. The date is when that event happened. So, Usually that's a birth or a death or some sort of land transaction. The time when it gets complicated is when you're looking at our journals and periodicals. Currently, those are indexed by publication year instead. So if you're looking at a scholarly journal like our own Register or the American Genealogist, there's a number of other journals and periodicals like this. They're actually their own category. If you're searching those databases, then those are going to be indexed by publication year. For instance, one of our digital collections administrators, Sam Sturgis, recently had an article on his own ancestry published in the most recent issue of the Register. We're all very proud of him. And but if you were to search for, if you were expecting to search by content, then searching the year 2014, you'd think it'd be about him. But that's when it's going to be indexed, despite the fact that he was writing about his ancestors from the 17th and 18th century.
And a related question from Anne. So since not all databases include years, would putting a year in your search field limit or exclude certain results?
Yes. For those databases that do not have the year range indexed, including those years would exclude those results. Now, since we've moved to a more relevancy-based algorithm, there's a likelihood that those results might still appear in searches as long as you don't have the exact search checkbox checked. But since that data isn't there to sort of help boost the relevancy of that particular record, it would appear probably several pages within your search results.
Okay, and Bruce asks, when searching, can you use wildcards?
Not to bag on technical difficulties, but I didn't actually hear the entirety of the question.
Sorry about that. Bruce asks, when searching, can you use wildcards in the search fields?
Yes, you can actually learn more about this on our the subject guide on using American Ancestors, and this is something that we're improving right now, and so I don't want to give inaccurate information. But the two most popular ones, that being the asterisk, and meaning 0 or more characters, and the question mark, which means a single character. Those work in the name fields and the keyword fields. I'm not sure if we've implemented in the location field yet, but those two wildcards work. And as we continue to improve the performance of wildcards, that information will be updated in the subject guide.
All right, thank you. And Elizabeth asks, are the search fields case sensitive?
The search fields are not case sensitive.
That was an easy answer. And so Suzanne asks, is it recommended to click SoundX when you're executing a search, or does the default search pretty much use SoundX?
The default search uses some more modern phonetic algorithms. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, SoundX really does refer to that specific American SoundX that was developed by the U.S. Census at the beginning of the century. That used you can actually find on Dick Eastman's blog. He's written a very lengthy explanation of how the math works on that. If you've narrowed it down, and especially if you've been doing genealogical searches with SoundX a lot before, it can help with the example I use is half of my last name, Dvorak. some consonants become different, some of the H's show up, H's disappear, and SoundX is really fantastic for that. But it will also return things like deforest is the one that I always remember. Delandry, I think, also comes up if I SoundX that name. So I would always suggest that that's a way to open up your search if you've already gotten a pretty tight criteria, because it tends to bring in a lot of those names that to SoundX make sense, but if you don't know the algorithm, would seem pretty random. I don't know if that was an actual answer. Use SoundX if you're experienced with it. Otherwise, I would depend on the more modern phonetic algorithms first that are used in our default search.
All right, and I think we've had a few questions about this, but Beth specifically asks, when you re-execute a saved search, is there a way to know which are the newer additions or the newer results from that search?
That is something that we're hoping to implement in the near future, but currently that sort of saved state of what you've read isn't currently available yet.
Okay, and Teresa asks if you could explain a little bit more about keywords, maybe give an example of a keyword search that you would use.
Do you want to go back to a slide? No, we don't need to go back to a slide. We're going to see if there's a relevant slide to use, but I can actually go back in my script. One thing that you can see if we think back to the Lorenzo Smith search that I'd done, I'll just try and describe it to you. But that associated text that was associated with that particular birth record listed, for example, the professions of Lorenzo's parents. And so keywords are the only way to really get to that information. Yep, all right, fantastic. Thank you, Ginevra. So you'll see that we have his parents, William and Catherine. This database, for one, this database isn't indexed with family members yet, and so that would be a bit of an undertaking. So those names will appear under a keyword search. But even without the family member data, the fact that he was a shipmaster, if you were looking for that information, that would be only accessible through keyword searches.
Great. And Fred asks, are there instructions on the site on, if you find a correction that needs to be made in a database, or if you're having an issue, is there some way or some person to contact with that information?
There absolutely is a person to contact with that information. There are two gentlemen working tirelessly. We actually also have a team of volunteers that help us do corrections. Scholarship and the accuracy of our records is something we take very seriously. It's something we take a lot of pride in. But webmaster@nehgs.org is where any and all corrections should go.
Great. And another question, how would you enter compound last names, such as St. John?
I missed the end of that again. Did you say my name? Okay. So if they're compound names that have spaces in them, then the fact that those two names are just next to one another are going to increase the relevancy of a particular record. If they're reversed, that might introduce some false positives, but there's nothing really special that you need to do for compound names.
Okay, and let's see, a few more questions. Carlton asks, will Apple Safari browser work with the website?
Yes, I'm a Mac user myself. Have been since 1992. What? And the browser requirements, I suppose I could talk about all of them, is that right now the new site works on Safari version 6 and above, and so as long as you're running a relatively new Mac that's running Lion or higher, you'll be able to use the built-in version of Safari. We're supporting the most recent releases of Firefox and Chrome. As long as you've restarted your browser sometime in the recent past, you should have that. As well as we are supporting Internet Explorer 10 and above. So as long as you're running Windows 7 or 8, the version of Internet Explorer you have will work. However, for those of you who are still running Vista or Windows XP, we highly encourage you to use Firefox or Chrome. The most recent version of those do run on XP and Vista, as well as being tremendously safer for surfing the web from day to day. It will give you the best experience in using our site, as well as all recent iOS devices and relatively recent Android devices should work. But I'm excited to hear how those of you who are using touch interfaces like the website.
Great. And Beth asks, is there a way to save different sets of favorite databases for researching different ancestors?
Right now, we just have one ever-growing list of saved searches that we have. That's interesting. That's something that we'll certainly consider in the future.
Okay, and is it possible to create an account on AmericanAncestors.org without being an active member?
Yes, actually. Our guest user program is currently being reconfigured, and so we're hoping to have a nice rollout of it in the near future. If you ever had a guest user account on our site, that account is still active. We didn't clean through those, so your old login should work. Now, since you do need to have a account, to see some databases. There's a rotating selection, or as well as to make a purchase. Right now, the easiest way is to do a search. If you're not logged in, click on the name of a record, and a paywall will pop up saying you need to be logged in order to see this, and there'll be a link towards a trial membership, and that will take you to our guest user program.
Great, and we have a few questions regarding the location fields. One example, Dave asks, I'm struggling when using a location name like New Bedford. How can I avoid getting results for every place name that includes the word new? And so if you could answer that question, that would be great.
That is an interesting question, because that certainly does of course. So there is a way to use Boolean operators. If you're noticing a bit of space, then that's because I'm trying to figure out exactly which one works. So it appears that if you use the plus sign, so new plus Bedford, that's going to require both of those to be present in the search. Yes, that should work as well. That doesn't help so well for all the various Bedford, New Hampshires, but if you take a look at the subject guide, there'll be as we refine that, we'll have more, the best information for that particular search in that subject guide.
And a few people have actually recommended putting New Bedford in quotation marks, in quotes. Would that solve the issue?
As we've been migrating data, our old search engine actually didn't recognize quotation marks like that. We use quotation marks for a different purpose, and right now that's currently throwing an error if you use quotation marks. So the plus or the word "and" is going to be the best way to do that. I'll speak to our digital collection staff about where we're standing as far as quotation marks go.
Okay, and a few questions about how to narrow your search, because of course one of your tips was to start wide and to get narrower. Barbara says, using the search I get over 1,000 hits with only the name field filled out. From that, how would you recommend she start to narrow her search results? I mean, fill in just one more field, fill in a location field. How would you suggest she go about narrowing that search?
My first suggestion would actually be, well, and that depends largely on your research goals for that particular session. But my first inclination is actually to start looking at record types and year. Well, record types first. And then moving to years and locations. This might just be my personal bias as far as the research that I've done in my own family history, but I've found that surprises have happened to me much more frequently in terms of location than in terms of years. So that would be the direction that I would go in.
Okay, so we're just about out of time. A few people are asking about the subject guide that we referred to. I will certainly include a link to that in your follow-up email. You can find that at our online learning center, AmericanAncestors.org/education. That's kind of obviously been rearranged with the new site, but you can still find a lot of subject guides and how-to videos and other resources that will help you in your research, both online and here in Boston. So I just want to thank you again for joining us today. As you leave the event, you'll have the opportunity to fill out a survey and give us your feedback. As we continue to expand our webinars and online offerings, any and all feedback is extremely helpful and appreciated. And if you'd like to access more of those how-to resources or learn about upcoming online educational programs, please visit our online learning center, AmericanAncestors.org/education. I hope to see you at our online programs in the future. Goodbye for now.